You see, everyone will believe that this is the first take if we don't say anything about it.
Exactly. Anyway.
I am Bro Hoshaphat, also known as Ezekiel by my real name. This is...
My name's Eli, and the only thing I'm active on right now is Instagram, which is Coath Eli, Coath_Eli.
He has a YouTube channel. I think if you subscribe to it, then he'll feel pressured to make videos. And then when you unsubscribe because he's not making any videos, he'll feel guilty enough to actually make videos again. But anyway, on to the topic of today. Well, first let's introduce you just so people are like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Why is he here putting his fat face on my camera?
Very fat.
Well, this is my brother.
Yeah. So,
and
do you want me
no,
to
not
kinda,
this. This is not my brother. Sorry. This is my brother.
Different kind of brother. You want me to kind of just quickly go over...
Yeah, just kind of your perspective. We got a request, or I got a request, the channel got a request from a guy to talk about my thoughts on fear and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what, this would be a good video to tackle with my brother because he has dealt with a lot of that stuff, probably more than I have, honestly. And so brought in the subject matter expert.
Yeah, he and I, in a lot of ways, are kind of opposites. So we have a very beneficial perspective to provide each other, and I just happen to know, have more experience in sort of the fear and anxiety department. So quickly go over who I am and why I might have a say in such things. I was a very emotional child, dealt with a lot of self-esteem issues and that kind of thing. Was significantly fatter than I am now when I was younger, if you can believe such a thing. And eventually, I got into cutting myself and general self-harm in other forms as well. And eventually, I had a wake-up call where I had to go to the hospital because I actually cut myself too deep.
I held his leg together.
He held my leg together. And I realized that this can't continue. I can't live this way. I can't spend my life this way. It's not sustainable. And I won't be able to make anything of myself if I continue with this. So I, at that point, that's when I kind of truly surrendered my life to God and said, I can't do this alone. I need your help. And then that's when things started picking up for me. I lost 50 pounds. I began weight training. And ever since then, it's just been moving towards progress, whatever way I can progress. And that's kind of the goal. Be it with training, be it with starting careers or whatever else. I'm constantly trying to get better, coming out of that place of total, worthlessness, essentially. As far as fear and anxiety is concerned, I dealt with fear pretty constantly throughout my life to the point, I'm 19 now, I slept with a nightlight until I was 17 because I was, in a lot of ways, ruled by fear. And as far as anxiety is concerned, I have horrible, terrible anxiety. Whenever I'm doing anything that's like new, I have all these doubts and stuff that go through my head, and that's something I actually had to deal with a lot this past year. I worked construction earlier in the year and was showing up on job sites that were an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours away from home, and oftentimes staying down there for a week and stuff like that with people I'd never met before, and I really had to face all that. So that's kind of why he brought me in, because I had a sort of different set of experiences to him, and we're going to talk about it. So.
Yeah, I do have some experience with anxiety and things like that. I think pretty much everybody does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to some degree.
I wouldn't consider myself as much a subject matter expert in that. I don't have the experience of going through the same degree of that, so that's why he's here. Otherwise, I just don't even talk to him at all. Ever.
Yeah, never. We live in the same house. Never see each other.
No, we do talk sometimes.
Yeah, that's not true.
School. But anyway, so let's get down into this. A lot of guys, obviously most of the time I talk about quitting porn and things like that, and that I believe does play part of a role in that, but other than that, as far as your own situation, what were some of the mindset shifts, maybe some of the tactics and strategies that you used going forward?
With fear or with anxiety? Let's pick one and start with one.
Let's start with fear.
We'll start with fear. Okay. Well, progress is a lot of it. You have more confidence when you're making progress in something. For me, the biggest part of that is weight training. I've been competing in powerlifting for 2 years now, about to be 3. And that being able to say I'm better than I was before goes a long way towards contributing to your overall confidence. Now, the more confident you are, the less afraid you're going to be. If, just in general, right? If we imagine a very specific situation, if you're in a restaurant and dude breaks in with a gun, right? And you don't have any experience with fighting or firearms or anything like that, you're going to be scared to death, right? Possibly literally. However, if you are ex-military and you have a concealed carry permit and you're confident in your abilities, that happens, you'd be like, okay, let's put a stop to this, bang, no big deal, right? Because you have confidence. Now that's a very specific example. Now if we imagine our entire life similarly, and you say, all right, I'm 18, 19, 20 years old, however old, I'm a porn addict, I have a shitty part-time job, crappy part-time job.
It's okay. I don't think anybody minds.
Yeah. And I'm fat or I'm super skinny, out of shape either way. And then all of a sudden you get asked to do something that intimidates you, right? You have that fear, you have that anxiety, you're put in some sort of situation that puts you there. You don't have any confidence. You're not doing anything. I'm, porn addict, this, that, the other, terrible job, and you're not going anywhere. You don't have any confidence. You haven't made any progress in your life, so why should you have confidence, right? Now, if you imagine, okay, you have similar situation, right? The guy's about the same age, 18, 19, 20, which I imagine is the majority of your demographic here.
Probably.
And he's been training for 5-6 years, right? He has been, working multiple jobs or has a really good job, and he's going out and meeting people and being social and that kind of thing. Same situation comes up. Something comes up he hasn't done before or whatever. He's going to say, you know what, I've gotten over so many challenges in my past, I can handle this because I have that confidence, right? So a huge part of this, and this ties into really so many things, especially for men specifically, but having confidence in what you've accomplished is going to translate to everything you have in the future. So just to start out, and that really covers both fear and anxiety. When you have confidence in that, then those two things tend to become weaker. Now, I'm someone that's dealt with both of those things and does strive towards progress, and I still deal with it sometimes, but you have to, reason with yourself and say, you know what, what's the worst that can happen? Most of the time it's you don't get the job or someone slaps your hand. Either way, you're not going to die unless it's actually a life or death situation that's kind of separate. Most of you are going to face that. You have to realize, what's the worst that can happen? I might get a little embarrassed, whatever, life goes on. And you say, all that I can do is the best that I know how to do. And if you do that, and if you work hard, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear. And that way you kind of logic yourself out of that worry and that anxiety, which in a lot of ways is just sort of overthinking things. I know for me, I'm neurotic. My tendency is to be neurotic. So I'm thinking like, what if this happens? What if that happens? I don't know how to do this. What if they ask me to do that? And et cetera, et cetera. Being able to step back and say, I can only do what I know how to do, and I'm going to do the best that I can do, you can't worry at that point. It's it's completely unreasonable to worry once you accept that and realize that. So just sitting down and working through your head, nothing terrible is going to happen. I just have to try, and if I try, there's nothing else I can do, then that helps a lot to relieve the anxiety and fear as well.
Gotcha. So parts of that would be essentially everything you do in your life crosses over to everything else you do in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard a phrase, I forget where I heard it, but how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And so these very specific, seemingly specific areas like, say, weight training, for instance,
mm-hmm.
this has impacted the rest of your entire life.
Yeah, and it seems like you think, okay, he just lifts weights, that's just a hobby, right? But you're learning discipline there. You're learning consistency, and you're learning to conquer obstacles and stuff that get in your way. You're learning to figure things out. So just that one small thing is teaching you so many skills. And then also, actually, weight training is a good analogy for stuff like this. Like I said before, I still deal with anxiety, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. And the reason isn't because I sat around and meditated all day. The reason is because I went and did things that made me anxious. I worked that construction job. I went and did stuff. I went and met new people and did all kinds of stuff that I was uncomfortable doing. And that developed that strength in that area. Like I said, weight training is kind of an analogy. You face a resistance, right? You're trying to, bench press or squat or whatever. You face a resistance, and it hurts, and you tear muscle fibers and stuff. But after you push through it, then you grow, step by step by step. You keep applying resistances over and over again over time, then you grow. And that's can be said of anything in life. You know, there is no growth without resistance. So people think, I can't do these things because I'm anxious. No. Because you're anxious, you must go do those things. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been saying for a while, it's kind of just been in my head that pretty much anything worthwhile is going to be difficult. It's going to have some difficulty to it. And so the fact that something is difficult doesn't mean that you should not do that. Or it doesn't mean that you should hesitate to do that or anything. In fact, the fact that it is difficult might be an indication that
you should
on
be
the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
So in addition to that, weight training, I guess that would also give you a more realistic view of progress, because a lot of people who don't actually train, they think, oh, well, you know, this such and such program will get me to here in so many weeks, but it actually, the sustainable growth doesn't work like that.
Yeah, everyone wants to find a shortcut, and that's one of the reasons I like training so much and think that everyone should train in some capacity or another. You know, I'm not saying everyone has to be a powerlifter, but you should be doing something with your body, is realizing what consistency is and what progress takes, the amount of work and the amount of time that it takes. You know, it takes years to get any kind of, you know, serious development. You know, I've been training for almost 5 years now, and I don't even look that huge other than the obesity. And that's just part of it. Most of the time, especially the training and stuff, you know, you don't really start to get where you want to be until 6, 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years or more, depending on what you're doing. You know, you've been a mechanic for 3 years now, 3-4 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And you learn new stuff every single day, I bet, don't you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I work with guys who have been doing this a lot longer than I have, and they're still learning new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And not even just because they're coming out with new cars, but just because even on the old stuff that they've been through a million times, there's still new stuff that comes up.
Yeah, so getting out of this mindset of, oh, let me just watch this video and be cured of my anxiety. That's not going to work. You have to put in that effort. You have to go and do things that make you uncomfortable, right? If you have social anxiety, go find somewhere to dance and go dance with people. That's horrifying. Now, you were kind of an introvert. I don't know if you dealt with that at all.
Yeah, well, I did. I was, like I said, I've dealt with some anxiety and things like that. And to me, when we started going out dancing, which might be hard to imagine, but yeah, I mean, it was horrifying.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hold on, all these people are better than me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. At that point, I was still porn addict, really a lot of social anxiety. I was really anxious around girls, really fearful of talking to them. It just was not a good time at first. But I kept going anyway, even though I was uncomfortable, even though it seemed like it would be a waste of time. I just kept going out there and going out there and going out there until.
And then after a couple of years, what happened?
Like what specifically?
Well, you know, we went dancing for a few years, right? And then you dated someone for the first time, right? You actually got in a relationship for the first time and made progress and made new friends and that kind of thing.
It was in my first 3 relationships ever with the same girl, but that's a long story. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, that was something that I was just totally inconceivable to me before. Yeah. And regardless of how that panned out, that was a lot of personal growth that took place there.
Yeah, and it took a long time. It took years for that to happen, you know. And every time you get a little bit better and a little bit better, and you do it more, and then you see results after a long ass time. So I think really, long story short, if you have anxiety, then you have to face it, and you have to intentionally put obstacles in your way that you can overcome, so that you can grow stronger and eventually outgrow the fear or anxiety. It's true of both, really. A smaller example of fear is if you're scared of the dark, stop sleeping with the nightlight. Just make yourself do it. Eventually it won't be scary anymore, right? It's the same exact thing. Do stuff that makes you uncomfortable. And then through that you'll grow and things won't make you as uncomfortable anymore.
There's one other thing that I want to touch on. Okay. You talked about how going through like your fears and your anxieties and explaining, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Well, it's this and this and this. And that I kind of want to expand on that. That sounds a lot like you're forcing the fears and the anxieties to explain themselves. Yeah. And to actually, put their cards on the table, and so, what are they really threatening here?
Right.
And most of the time, it's not even something that bad.
Yeah, and
A lot of times, it's nothing at all. Like, let's say somebody is afraid to ask a girl out or something like that. It's just a generic example.
Yeah.
Well, worst case scenario, she says no, which is the exact same outcome as if you
As if you didn't.
at all.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And so it sounds like a lot of this is just looking fear and anxiety in the face and just calling their bluff.
Yeah, exactly. And as men, and especially as Christian men, which I feel like most of us are going to be, even if you don't want to take that route, just as men in general, we ought not be ruled by anything other than our own will. We shouldn't be slave to anything, and certainly not our own mind, right? If you're prevented from making progress in life and doing the things you want or need to do because of this, then you've got some problems. If you have stuff that you say, I need to do this, or I want to do this, but I don't know if I can, that kind of thing, you have to do those things, regardless of what's going on here, right? If you're enslaved by your own mind, you have to break that. You have to get out of that. Because that's no way to live, and that's, you're not going to make progress. You're going to be that guy in the basement at, however old, eating cheese puffs, being fat.
Burritos, Hot Pockets,
right.
moderating webboards for free. It's just a mess. But yeah, I mean, really, it's a matter of refusing to accept your these obstacles, these flaws that you have. Acknowledge them, and I've said this before. Acknowledge the issues that you have, but don't accept them.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge them, and then attack them and defeat them. Oh well, it's just water. But yeah, would you say that's about right?
That's about right. That's about it. That's all I got.
Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Nothing.
Conquer your fears by conquering them over and over again.
Yeah, like go out and fight them. That's how you beat stuff.
Physically.
All right. Well, that's about it for now. Don't watch porn. Go lift some weights or something. Run. Do it. But make sure you run the right way. Don't mess up your
Running's
knees.
gay.
Okay?
Don't mess with that.
I do both. But anyway, have a good day. Have a good porn-free day. Rest of your life. All that good stuff. God bless you guys. Take care. We'll talk to you later.